Remember how seasons 2 and 3 started with an unfamiliar character playing a classic pop song? Well, in season 4 they waited until now to do it. This time it's Buddy Holly's Every Day. Get it? Because of the whole plane crash thing? Of course, the song was made a year after this scene is set, but who cares? It's thematic! This is Emily Locke, who gets hit by a car and is sent into premature labor, and so the world was graced with John Locke. Emily panics and runs out on the baby, and then her mother tries to smoke in the incubator room in what I can only assume is an attempt to be Mad Men. Look, we're hip, we're with it! But the really important thing is that Richard is there, and then he comes to see Locke a few years later.
I run a school for kids who are extremely special, and I have reason to believe that you might be one of them.
So Richard is Charles Xavier? That's actually not the worst theory I've heard. And check out the artwork Locke was already doing by now, and people think the guy's not a psychotic lunatic. Richard does this whole Dalai Lama thing where he asks Locke to pick out which of a bunch of objects are his, and given the kind of person he'll grow into, which he's already showing signs of, all I can hear during this scene is... Oh, come on, how many times do you ever get to make a deep red reference? Gotta grab them where they come. The last item Locke picks is a knife, to which Richard decides he wants nothing to do with this budding serial killer. Then we catch up with him in high school, where he again turns down a chance to join the others, and unfortunately they hired a guy for this role who could seriously give Hayden Christensen and Dante Bosco a run for their money in a whiny emo off. He even manages to make Locke's catchphrase sound completely pathetic.
Don't tell me what I can't do.
Crawling in my skin, these wounds will not heal. We jump one more time to after Locke was paralyzed, where Abaddon comes in and talks to him. He goes through some generic don't give up talk, including saying that a miracle once happened to him. We will never learn what that was. Abaddon also tells Locke about the walkabout that got him to Australia, with the implication being that Widmore wanted him on the plane. Why? Never answered.
I went on my walkabout convinced I was one thing, but I came back another. I found out what I was made of, who I was.
And here you are, an orderly.
I like this version of Locke. Why couldn't he have stayed this way?
Who builds a cabin in the middle of the jungle anyway?
That's a good question.
So, how about answering it?
I don't know.
That's pretty much the whole show right there, isn't it? And even better is when Locke, Hurley, and Ben start talking about where they're going and realize that none of them have any idea what they're doing. The helicopter gets back to the boat, and as you can imagine, Kimi is just overjoyed to find out about Michael. He tries to shoot him twice, but the gun jams both times due to whatever the hell you believe is going on here. Locke has a dream where he sees Horace, played by a guy who married a 16-year-old. Told you I'd keep bringing it up. There's a bunch of weird lines here and regenerating trees, and none of it means anything except when Horace says that to find Jacob, he needs to find Horace's body. Get it? Because he's fat! I had really hoped the show would have gotten over that by now, but apparently not, as a bit later we get this.
You ever wonder what happened to the Dharma Initiative, Hugo? There must have been at least 100 of them living on this island. Manning the stations, building those homes. Making all that ranch dressing that you like?
Yes, very sensitive, jackass. They get to the pit of Dharma bodies where Hurley and Ben make small talk, and in a shameless retcon to make Ben look a little less, pure evil, he says that killing them all wasn't his decision but the man who was leading the others at the time. And I'm sure you were just horrified about it, huh? Locke finds Horace's body, and in the pocket is a map to the cabin, except it moves, so that should be useless. This is something I imagine was going to be a bit better explained before they lost 2 episodes off this season. Kimi opens a safe in Galt's cabin and takes out a folder that tells him where Ben is going. Now that Locke has the map, he offers to let Hurley go back to the beach so he'll be safe, to which Hurley quite aptly points out that staying with them will probably be safer than wandering through the jungle alone at night. Ben picks up on this as Locke manipulating him into staying, to which I can only say, for the both of them,
we're the good guys, Michael.
Frank lets Michael out of his cell, and Michael tells him Kimi's going to kill everyone on the island. But more importantly, Saeed convinces Galt to let him go back to the island on one of the boat's rafts, with Desmond staying behind because he doesn't want to tempt fate in any way to trap him on the island again. Smart man, one of the few.
I was told a lot of things, too. That I was chosen, that I was special. I end up with a tumor on my spine and my daughter's blood all over my hands.
I'm sorry those things happened to you, Ben.
Those things had to happen to me. That was my destiny. But you'll understand soon enough that there are consequences to being chosen. Because destiny, John, is a fickle bitch.
A rather nice deconstruction of one of the show's core tenets there. Thanks, Ben. Frank refuses to fly Kimi back to the island, and seeing as they also won't get to the island if they kill him, he kills Ray instead so he can wash up on the beach a few days in the past. Galt arrives and Kimi also kills him because there's a limit on how many characters who are better than the people we're supposed to care about can be left running around. The helicopter drops a pack onto the beach, including another phone with a tracking signal. Locke's group reaches the cabin, and inside he finds not Jacob, but Hillary, still in the form of Christian. And Claire is also there, and Locke, to his credit, immediately asks where Aaron is.
Where's the baby?
The baby's where he's supposed to be. And that's not here.
So, where he's supposed to be is alone in the middle of the jungle? Again, great parenting there, Claire. Just leave your baby to die because a guy who's supposed to be dead told you to. That's just super. Oh, and in case you think I was exaggerating at all about how marginalized Claire becomes over the course of the series, this is the last time we will see her until Season 6. We go back outside where Hurley and Ben see Locke come out and ask what they're supposed to do.
He wants us to move the island.
My score for Cabin Fever is 5 out of 10. It's another one of those episodes that is just sort of utilitarian, moving stuff around to prepare for the season finale without anything that really stands out on its own, good or bad. It does have an unusually high number of lines playing right to what the audience is thinking though, and that's always appreciated.